Welcome to Northwynd 2, episode 13. In this episode, I'm going to be doing a cry for help in Giant Hold, because please and help. That's a little joke. Alright. 13's a pretty big level. Got some cool gear, some cool abilities. Let's start with the quests. What have I done? So I started with Assault on Summerfield and Blockade Buster. I did those because I needed the Coin Lord favor to open up my 5th bag space. Inventory space has been really tight, and I've really been looking forward to that. I have been tempted earlier on to just run some lobies to get the favor, but I kept, I forced myself to hold on till 13 until I could get until I could just do this the Lord's March chains and get it there. I actually normally wouldn't do Blockade Buster. It is a quick quest, but because of the way the dungeon alert is screwed up in there, that quest can be a giant pain in the butt on Reaper mode. I think I just did it on R1. No big deal. Assault on Summerfield I actually did on R3, and that turned out really well. No problems, except when I got to the boss, he was hitting too hard for me to stand up against, so I did have to get a little kitey with him at the end. But other than that, it went great, so I was really pleased. Then I came out to Giant Hold, did Feast or Famine. Thought I'd start with R2. Giant Hold quests tend to be a little bit easier than other quests of its level range, maybe about by a skull. So R2, Feast or Famine, no problem. Decided to step it up to R3 for Trial by Fire, and that went well. Mana got a little tight before that shrine. There's a big fight before the shrine, and yeah, things were really tight there, but pulled it out, no deaths. And then did Foundation of Discord. Just did that on R2, lots of casters. End fight can be a big pain in the ass, so just wanted to do it on R2, and those were all solo. And then I decided to do Memoirs. I already had my Pansophic Circlet from last life, so I didn't need another one, but I just couldn't resist the possibility of pulling maybe a better one. And I actually posted an LFM. That one I knew would be tight because there are no shrines in that quest. I knew mana would be tight, so I just did it on R1, posted a group, had one Warlock join me during the first fight, so that was great. Even though I re-rolled 3 times, I did not get a better Pansophic Circlet than the one I already have. So that's what I have run since last episode. And now I'm going to finish up the level 13 Giant Holds with Cry for Help. So what's next? Enhancements. Picked up Crown of Summer. This is really cool. And this gives you some extra melee power and ranged power. This is something that actually changed in update 38. So it used to act as a weapon buff. There's actually 2 portions to this. So the first part of it gives you some healing amplification, which is awesome. I really need that. I don't have much on this tune. And then it gives you the melee and range power, but it's the second part, the melee range power, that was changed. Prior to update 38, it acted as a weapon buff, and it gave you like, oh, I don't know, 2d6 light damage, maybe it was, on your weapon, which is cool. You can give this to a party member too. You can only give it to one person at a time, so typically you want to cast it on yourself, but if your party member's tanking a boss or something like that, it can be really nice to give the Crown of Summer to them so they get some extra melee power and some extra heal amp. Other than that, you typically want to keep it on yourself. It's really great that they changed it so that it adds melee power instead of acting as a weapon buff, because the problem was that you could only have one weapon buff on your weapon at a time. So if you had an arty in the group and they're passing out weapon buffs, then they would overwrite each other. And I remember often telling artificers, like, don't buff my weapon. I've got my own. I've got my Crown of Summer. I don't want your weapon buff overwriting my Crown of Summer. Or there were times where I would give this to the tank in the group, but they already had an arty buff and they didn't want my Crown of Summer, so definitely a nice little change. I also picked up Time and Tide, which gives me +1 caster level and max caster level for spells in both seasons. Very cool. More damage dice. So in the DQ video, which is really cool to pull that off, I totally forgot about Winter's Heart. I can't believe it. That would have totally made that easier. Oops. And I also should have been using my little macabre scepter in my hand for some extra DPS instead of using my dagger, but oh well. We got the W. That's all that's changed on the enhancement side. Reaper points. I've got my 6th Reaper point. Woohoo! Just got it in the last quest too. So almost 13,000 to go for the next one. Probably won't see that for a few levels. I decided to pick up the tier 2 Grim Barricade, +1 to all saves, +20 maximum hit points. Totally awesome. What's really cool about it though is that this works outside of Reaper mode. Just in case you don't know, all of your innate lines except for the first one, but tier 2 through tier 6 innate, just the ones down here, work outside of Reaper mode. So there's an incentive, even if you're not a big fan of Reaper mode, there's an incentive to run Reaper quests so that you can get these innate enhancements which do function outside of Reaper mode and is working as intended. So +1 to all saves and +20 maximum hit points. All on? That's great. You get a point of con. Look at this. +1 to all saving throws and +100 hit points. That's huge. You know, you come over here, you get some big stacking spell points, a point of wisdom or charisma, more spell points, and over here you can get +1 to hit and damage, strength or dexterity, more to hit and damage. So great stuff there. Like I said, even if you don't like Reaper mode, there's an incentive to run it because those enhancements work out as outside of Reaper mode. None of this stuff up here, though, works outside of Reaper mode. All this stuff up here is in Reaper mode only, as is the tier 1 innates for each tree. The Wolf. Same armor and same collar. On the enhancements, still staying away from things that could draw extra aggro to my wolf. Picked up evasion this level. That's pretty cool. This requires Cunning Wolf 3 and Wolf Instincts 3 as it indicates there. And that's the only thing that's changed there with the wolf. On the spell side, so I picked up Elemental Toughness. This is another spell that changed with update 38. So this used to provide damage reduction 5, which was cool during heroics, but became kind of meaningless in epics, especially in Reaper mode. So they changed this to add 1 stacking PRR per Druid level for the duration of the spell. Unfortunately, the spell, you know, it's a buff. It only lasts half as long as your other buffs, pretty much, but I was pretty bummed about that. I really don't like that, but it is what it is. But having, you know, 13 stacking PRR, that's awesome. Body of the Sun is a really, really fun spell. I just love it. And this spell puts like a big glowing corona aura around you, and it turns you into like a walking firewall. Like you are the firewall when you have this on, and you're walking around as the firewall. So cool, so much fun. I mean, back before Reaper mode, when you were just doing elites, like anything that walked into you that was susceptible to fire damage is just like melting away. But in Reaper mode, obviously, all of our damage output is reduced. So, you know, it's not as powerful in Reaper mode, but still worth having and still lots of fun to use. This you can only use in Fire Elemental form. So at 13 you have access to your first Elemental form, and so this is why I take Fire Elemental first, because I want to be able to use Body of the Sun. And so this, it does fire damage to nearby allies just like a firewall would. It moves with you. It cannot be maximized or empowered though. It can only be quickened. That's the only meta you can apply to it. So, but even though it can't be maximized or empowered, it actually scales better than Firewall on its own, so the damage is competitive. And cheap to cast, since you don't have to apply metas to it. And now with Summon Nature's Ally 7, I am pulling out the huge Earth Elemental. I like the Earth Elemental because you get the Earth Grab. I don't know that I picked up anything else, or if there's anything else I should mention here. No, nothing comes to mind. when I was doing Foundation of Discord earlier this evening, I kept throwing Word of Balance, my SLA version, onto some mobs, and just nothing's happening. I'm going, what's going on? Is something bugged? And then I had forgotten that, you know, if that only affects mobs that are not neutral. If a mob is true neutral, like an animal, for example, that's the most common mob probably in DDO that's true neutral, there's no effect on them. So I guess a bunch of the mobs in that quest are neutral. But usually you don't encounter a lot of mobs other than animals that are neutral, so it threw me off a little bit. Sometimes I forget about that, but good to make a note of that. They're steps away from neutrality. So you know, your alignment has two facets to it, right? You can be lawful, neutral, or chaotic, and then you can be good, neutral, or evil. So a mob that is like lawful neutral, for example, has one step away from neutrality, but if it was lawful good, that's 2 steps away from neutrality. Alright, enough about Word of Balance and spells. Gear. So, still got the big spell points here with the vibrant purple. Still got the torque, that's going to be there for the rest of the series. Now I've got my Pansophic Circlet. This is a beautiful general potency item. Best general potency item in the game, at least at this level range. Got it slotted up with the Sapphire False Life 20. I got that from the vendors right over here in Giant Hold. This is a great place to get augments, level 12 through 24. They have whole bunches of them, 12, 16, 20, 24, and you can get augments just with the relics that you get from the chests out here. And then for the epic ones, it's the epic relics, refined relics, or whatever they're called. So I had to farm a few of those out because I didn't have a bunch left over from last life, but it didn't take me long. Just did a couple rounds of rares out there in the Slayer Zone, got some relics, and got that augment to put in there. So general potency 63, insightful potency 31, quality potency 8, so awesome. Magical efficiency 5%, reduction in spell point cost of spells. Just to add gravy on top of all of that. Then we got the mythic head boost 1, 2. Such a beautiful item. Reaper headgear, just in case you don't know, does have a very, very, very slim chance of dropping a special Reaper enhancement to, or enchantment to headgear. So you can get a +2 boost to all ability scores. It's extraordinarily rare. I've personally never pulled one. A few of my guildies have, but you know, would love to have that version. How huge would that be? Okay, on the goggles, these are new. Wisdom 7 now, Insightful Conjuration, Focus 2. Conjuration, we do have a few Conjuration spells. I think that Enveloping Swarm, yeah, that's Conjuration, for example. Not a ton, but it's helping a little bit. And then I'll have better versions for higher levels already set aside. Scales of Avarice, hopefully this will be the last level that I use this. I decided that I am going to farm out... oh shoot, one of the Update 38 quests. I can't remember which one it was, but the one that and that's going to be in the next episode anyways, but it drops armor, weapons, and a shield that are just wonderful for a druid. I'll talk more about that next episode. Braces of Wind, the level 11 version, talked about it last time. Yummy, yummy item. And I have a new craftable. Look at this. Sheltering 17, Constitution 7, got it slotted up with Good Luck +1. I made this. Barely. I was barely able to craft a minimum level 13 shard. I had a very low chance to craft. I was able to get some of the 25% booster thingy dingies from doing the free tutorial in the House K crafting hall, so that helped it put it within reasonable striking distance to actually pull that off. And I think I had like a 38% chance to craft that minimum level shard. I think I did it in the first try, so that was cool. Nice item. Probably be wearing this for the rest of heroics. Maybe, yeah, I don't think I can get a better minimum level shard. So I did have to farm some collectibles for that, and I did spend some time doing that. If you're not familiar, you know, the Kenneth crafting planner, you know, if you hover over the ingredients needed, so like if you need runic parchments, if it says, you know, you need 10 runic parchments, you can hover over that ingredient, like in this case, in this example, runic parchments, and it'll tell you what quests to go, and what difficulty to go farm it out of. So I just did that. For the ones that I need, I went to where it said to farm it. It took me a little while on some of them, but not too bad of a farm. And I wasn't starting this life with very many collectibles. I sold a lot of my collectibles, in the first life to make some plat. But even if I hadn't sold those, it wasn't like I was going to start this life with gobs of them. I would still had to do some farming anyways. I would just been a little bit closer to what I needed. So happy to have that. The boots are new, still have striding 30%. Now I have strength 5 in there. There was a guard in there before. I'd rather have the all-on strength. This way I don't have to cast bull strength on myself. And I didn't, otherwise I would have just, slotted something up with like strength 4, but I'm out of augment slots right now, so I don't really have a place to put that. In addition, I'd also like to have like death block slotted somewhere, but I just don't have any open slots. The Blurfinger gloves have not changed. Pretty cool item. Neither has the Band of Insightful Commands. The Thrumming Spark Cord has not changed. Those 3 items probably will stay there for the rest of Heroics. And the Cloak of Flames is the same as last episode as well. The shield is the same. Hopefully this will change next level, because I'm going to farm out the Giant's Platter. And then the weapon, I've decided I'm going to farm out the heroic version of the Frost Sickle that comes out of the same quest. 2 sickles, armor, and shield come out of that update 38 quest. And I can't remember the name of it, but that's going to be next episode. And hopefully I'll be able to show you all 3 of them, because I'm going to start farming it after a cry for help. Feats. There's nothing to mention. At level 12 is when you get, like a regular feat, but I do want to mention a Druid feat. So I talked about how you get your first elemental form at level 13, and I chose Fire Elemental, so this is a specific Druid class feat that you're taking. And a caster Druid should run in elemental form at all times. There's so many benefits from running in elemental form. I know that some people don't like it because you get penalties to like opposite element spells, like in this case running in Fire Elemental form, it says I get a -3 penalty to caster level and max caster level for cold spells. It says water spells, but that's the same thing. But I do get +3 bonus to caster level and max caster level for fire spells. So here's the thing. Don't stress about being sort of in the right elemental form. Don't, I tend to just stay in one elemental form or another for entire quest, and sometimes it'll make sense to run certain quests in certain forms. If you're running a quest that has a lot of cold-based creatures, you want to run a fire elemental form. A lot of fire-based creatures, you run water elemental form. I won't get water elemental form until level 17. But yeah, don't freak out about trying to constantly change back and forth. Like if you're in fire elemental form, don't let that stop you from casting like Greater Creeping Cold and stuff. Like it still is a very strong spell. But the other really great stuff that you get from here, and this has changed in update 38, is you get 65% fire absorption when in fire elemental form. How huge is that? But take 15% more damage from cold-based attacks. Now I'm not quite sure how that works in conjunction, if at all, with Fire Shield. So if I had the red Fire Shield on, do I get 50% absorption to cold damage? I don't know. They said some things about it. They said it didn't stack with Fire Shield, but they didn't really spell it out. So not really sure there. Fire Shield, by the way, I did pick up the regular spell. So it was like a level or 2 ago that I did that. I don't think I talked about it, but I was using scrolls before that. It's a hugely important spell. A very underappreciated and underused spell in DDO. Starting at level 5, if you have the UMD, even if you can't normally cast a spell, you can do Fire Shield scrolls. 50% absorption of Fire Cold is huge, and definitely should be on your hotbar, and use it where appropriate. I like to pick up the regular spell when I have room for it, and I do have those quickened. because those are the kind of buffs that you're casting in combat. They don't have a huge duration, so you're just casting them when you need them, and when you need that to go off, you need that to go off. You don't want that to be interrupted and fail. You want that on, so I do quicken that. Okay, back to fire elemental form. So it says you are considered an elemental. These following benefits you get in both water and fire elemental form. You gain +10 racial bonus to saving throws against magical poisons, and racial immunity to natural poisons, sleep, paralysis, and stun, and a 100% bonus to fortification. So fort, not a big deal anymore. Look at how much fort I got. 210. Totally awesome. Says you are no longer considered a living construct and now be healed normally by positive energy spells, and you become immune to repair spells. So obviously if you're a Warforged or Blayforged, that'll affect you, but not me. So those bonuses, immune to stun, big fortification, I just love it, and I want to run in elemental form all the time. Alright, let's do the quest. Alright, we're going to try R3 for the second time. I actually just failed an R3 attempt. I only got about a third of the way in, and I got caught up by a couple of champs. Even tried to use gibbers to save the run, but just couldn't pull it off. So we're going to try again, and what that's telling me is, I had a couple good runs in R3s, soloing Assault on Summerfield and Trial by Fire, but that's where this tune is, about a R2, R3 kind of an area. And honestly, that's better than I expected at the start of this series. And that's soloing. If I was in a group, I would be comfortable with doing higher skulls. Oh, I wanted to show you, I am in elemental form right now. You can't see the graphic. There's a feat that was added called Veil the Elements, so you can toggle that off if you want to see yourself in elemental form, or you can toggle it on to turn that visual off. Interestingly, other party members, everyone else still sees you in elemental form, even when you have it toggle off like this, and that's right there in your feat list, under Druid feats, along with all your wild shape stuff there, Veil the Elements. That was added in Update 38. Also, I wanted to show you that I did get the Greater Petrifying Runestones, the level 13 versions. Those are tiered to level 3, 8, 13, and 17, so always making sure you're using and crafting the highest level that you can use. Every tier has 5 higher DC than the previous tier, so a significant difference there. And if we don't get the R3 completion this run, then we'll just do it on R2. That's okay. There's no shame. I think that if I were just sort of running a life with this tune, I wouldn't even be trying R3 right now. I'm just trying to challenge myself. It is a little slower going, and then I can feel the difference between like R2 and R3. There is a significant difference between every skull, and sometimes you don't realize that because you might be at a place where maybe you're doing R4s or whatever, and it seems like everything below R4 is super easy. Well, that's because that's where your skill level and where your tune is, your build, your past lives, everything, all your Reaper points, that's where it puts you. But when you don't have all the past lives and you don't have a bunch of Reaper points, etc., 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 I can really feel the difference between like, ooh crap, like an R1 and an R2 and R3. Yeah, this is reminding me of what happened last run. A champion, Geralith, was part of that conundrum. Stunned him. Yoink. I think now's a good time as any to go ahead and pull out a Leary. She can charge me up on the mana side and on the health side too. Why not, since she's out, right? Leary was huge in helping me do the R2 solo foundation, that quest, with the centrally located shrine there, you know, in the middle of all the halls. You know, basically, you know, when I got to it, I used her, rest her, used her all the way up again, dismissed her, and then I would do that again after I did each one of the halls. I pull her out, DV up, and then rest her, DV up again, dismiss her. And did after everything. That was a really important part of helping me to, in terms of mana resources, afford to do that quest on R2 solo. She's a great investment. I've used her just countless times in Reaper mode. Reaper. I hit him with Call Lightning, regular Call Lightning, creeping, or Word of Balance, and he still wasn't dead. So on R1 I can 1 or 2 shot Reapers. Definitely feel the difference in how much time and resources it's taking to kill these mobs. Pull out another elemental. Those are nice distractions. Some of the mobs focus on them instead of me. The summons are taking hits instead of me. Trying to solo these R3s is definitely slower going, definitely requires more patience, but is a fun challenge. I'm at 85% with the heal scrolls right now. That'll be 95 next level, and then 100% at level 15, because that's when you get heal added to your spell book. So once you get it in your spell book, you have a 100% chance to cast it from scrolls. I think another problem last run is I was just not being, I was being too conservative with the mana in terms of not throwing up proper crowd control. I wasn't using the Sleet Storm, Ice Storm whole thing, 'cause it does get a little expensive. I was just throwing Sunburst and then trying to eat them up with my Aura, but I had even the Sleet Storm out. I think that would have been made a difference. Stunned him, stoned him. The champ's having a bad day. And stun that champ too. Yes, thank you. Salt Ray for the win. Oh, Mirage is about to die. And Tim the mob off of him. Alright, gonna have to take a minute to get healed up here. This is definitely slower going than when I did the R3 Assault on Summerfield and the R3 Trial by Fire. Some tougher mobs in these quests, in this quest, compared to those. Geralith, Rakshasas. It's amazing how much I fail with an 85% chance to get that scroll off. Right away with the Sunburst. Blinds a bunch of them. Don't really need the Ice Storm because the aura is chewing them up. Although if I really, that adds extra crowd control, Ice Storm does, so if I really wanted to go all the way, but you know, it just adds cost. But it would not only kill mobs faster, but provide more crowd control. But trying to conserve the mana a little bit. So my shield wore off. Throw the wand again. Magic missiles can be really scary in Reaper mode, so try to keep shield on you at all times. This is the room in which I died up here last run. So I'm going to get fully healed up, pull out another elemental. Failed again. I'm like an expert at rolling like 2s and 3s this life. I succeed on a 4. Got some champs again. Demon Soul. They do scary dots. Let's just throw a Greater Creeping Cold on them, not to mess around. He's dead. Did I just swing at that chest? I thought it was a breakable. Time to bring out Illyri? Yeah. I need that mana. And might as well have her top me off in health too. There's a collectible down there. It can be kind of scary trying to get it. You don't have a trapper, so I'm going to forego it. Buff myself. Sleet Storm, nice. Oh, that Gerald just took Mirage right down. Holy crap. Throwing regular healing spells on myself. Those guys are scary. I think the champ's gone. Shield block when you're on the ground does help. He's blinded. Whew, that was tight. Pot's running off. Rolled a 3, so I failed on the scroll check. Just gonna have to be patient to heal myself. I gotta make sure that I'm fully healed before I try to run through that trap. Rolled a 2. When I tried to gibbers up to save last run, I came running through here, and I ran along the side, and when I got blown up, I caught a ledge, and so I was like standing, you know, up there in the trap, and so that's, you know, I died while I was gibbered. If that didn't happen, I could have gotten this door open and just used the shrine, but bad luck. Stunned him, Salt Ray. Okay. Where are we at on O'Leary? Can bring her out and double up on her. This is huge. That's, you know, 450 mana right here. Such a great investment for a caster. That reminds me, I should put a little entry in the journal about her with a link of where to buy her. This video will probably get posted around the time that the Black Friday sales happen too, and so if they've done like previous years, like she'll be on sale. The starter pack will be on sale for like $250. Can't go wrong. You have to buy the starter pack with real money though. You can't buy it with DDO points. Elemental. Now O'Leary's rested. And she can give me all her DVs again. Thanks, Dollface. Okay. That's a Plague Reaper. Nobody said it was going to be easy. Nobody said that. So the wolf is great for pulling levers, right? Like, I don't know if that's trapped or not. We don't have a trapper, so guess what? Mirage can do it. Hey, and he saved against the trap. Good job, Mirage. Very valuable use of, roll the 1 on the caster roll check, of the wolf. Pull levers. Word of Balance hits pretty good on the Geralith. Mirage can pull that lever. That was trapped too. Quit slipping in the Fleet Storm there, Elemental. Okay, you can have a, ooh, jeez. Firewall up there, that'll help chew them down. I can't play, oh no, I got caught in the animation. I hit the wrong button, I'm gonna die! That was frickin' garbage. That really sucks when you hit the wrong button and you get caught in a very slow animation like that. You gotta play Plague Reaper up your ass. I meant to hit the regular version of Word of Balance, but I ended up hitting Summon an Earth Elemental, which I don't even have quickened. Yeah, rolled a 3 on my caster level check. How many is that? I'm pretty sure I've defied the odds. We'll let that firewall occupy them for a bit. Anybody else in here? Yep. And my jump wore off. No, it didn't. Why did I not jump up there? Did I bounce off of something? Wrong side, Ginger. Oh, I bounced off of that light fixture. Pull the lever, Voodoo. There's a tunnel underwater, secret passage that take you to a little optional. I don't bother with optionals. Not in Reaper mode. Not unless they give Reaper XP. And standard optionals don't. Is Leary ready? Yes, she is! I can even click my regular spell point clickies while she's doing that. Ideally, I'd like to use this mana, clear all the way to the end fight, and then use the shrine and have a full mana bar for the end fight. A lot of mana for free, basically. Why are you not healing Mirage? Look at that. What the hell's going on? There we go. Maybe Illyri's feeling used. She just drank a mana potion. Okay, Illyri is not doing what I want her to do. She's back talking. Buffs are wearing out. Ooh, Carnage Reaper. It's fun. Roll the 1 on the caster level check. How many times is that now? I should only be failing 3 out of 20 according to the odds, but bad rolls. Shield ran off. That was painful. Debuff too because my jump is gone. Look at that crap. The way your toon animates to climb over that little step. Isn't that irritating? The worst is when you're like using a spell point clicky or some other clicky right in the middle of that and it interrupts it and you lose the charge. That's infuriating. So the question is, do I do the first mobs with the little bit of mana I got? Nah. Let's just go Shrine up. We'll fully buff up Mirage. We'll get a fresh Ellie. And then we'll go in on a fresh mana bar. Great to use up your mana before shrining. Buff others. Buff your wolf. We'll give him everything. A lot of summons. We'll fully buff up the summon. Heal ourselves. Heal Mirage. And then we rest. Whew, I'm a half hour deep into this. That's definitely slow going. Yeah, this is a quest that you'd like to have done in less than 15 minutes. But I'm not running this for speed. I'm running this for posterity. Can't emphasize enough that I'm not, these quests that I'm doing, these Lobby Reaper solos, it's not to say like you should be soloing R3 on a second lifer, or if you're new or something like that. That's not at all. It's just, testing the limits, exploring the capabilities, and showing others, you can do this if you want to, that this can be done even on a second lifer who's modestly geared. And another point of it all is that, if you're a multi-lifer, and you're up and running in Reaper mode, and you got 20 or more Reaper points, stop doing the R1s. Stop doing them too over level. Like, you can do these at base normal level. I mean, if I can do it on the second lifer with 5 and 6 Reaper points, like, you can do it on your toon that has 20 pass lives, and 25 Reaper points. And knowing the content is important. Nimbin and I were just talking about that earlier today. Knowing the content is an important part of being successful in Reaper mode. If you don't even know the content, then it's going to make it that much tougher. And that's why I said earlier on the series that if you're a new player, don't start with Reaper mode. Your time is better spent learning the content. Once you get good with the content, and you felt comfortable with elite mode, elite difficulty, then it can be time to move on to Reaper. I'm going to go ahead and put on the spell absorption. That's a lot of casters. A piece of cake, huh? Shastas are all preoccupied with Mirage there or something. Elemental. What I get for that? 986 Reaper. Not bad for just R3. 33 minutes. That was a little painful, but we got her done. That was really cool. So this was the first sort of regular R3 video of the series. You know, I did the 1R3 before, but that was just a mini quest, so that was really cool. We'll see where we go from here. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about my videos, you can respond on YouTube. And if you have any questions about my build, you can respond to my build post in the Druid forum.